Okay, I wanted to give a garlic update, and uh, all of the garlic except for our damaged ones and the corms have now started sprouting. Now, when I mean all the garlic, I mean a garlic within an area that or a time frame that we planted. So this is row 1 right here. This was planted 4 weeks from today. So this was planted the 18th of October. It is now the 14th, or no, 17th of October. This is the 14th of November right now. So as you can see, the garlic is coming up very nicely. It's looking nice and green. We've had a couple of frosts. I really don't want to call it a hard freeze. I'll just call it a frost. I don't think we've had a real hard freeze yet. And so this was planted October 17th. Row 2 was 18th. Row 3 was the 19th. So as you can see, that one's a little bit further along, so on and so forth. And then Andre and I took a few days off, and this was planted the following Friday, which would be October 24th. So this is row 4. So as you can see, there is garlic that's coming up, but obviously not as developed as that. And then row 5 was on the 25th, and row 6 was on the 26th. Unless I'm getting my dates wrong again. So the thing I was curious about with row 6 is row 6 has had no chill hours. These were sitting in my office all the way up until the day they got planted. Where row 1 and row 2 were 8 weeks chilled. This was in our refrigerator at 40 degrees. Row 3 was 6 weeks. Row 4 and 5 were 7 weeks. Row 6 was 0. And so it doesn't look like it's come up a whole lot, but there are sprouts that are coming up. So like there's one right there. There's one right there, so on and so forth. So these are actually sprouting at about the same rate as the chilled ones. And then we get into row 7, which is right here. And these were our large bulbs. So every single clove that were from these bulbs were more than 8 ounces. So we had 8 ounce, 9 ounce, 10 ounce bulbs that were in here. So these are all the cloves that were there. And then, so that was all done the 24th, 25th, and 26th. Then the following weekend, which was November 2nd, because we did it on Sunday, we planted all of our hardneck garlic, and we planted the damaged cloves, which were not chilled. So the damaged cloves are here, and so far those have not come up yet, but that's not surprising because in the past the damaged ones have typically taken a little longer. But I just came out and was looking, so let me hop over. All right, row 8 here, which is this row. This is all of our Parisian Star. There's about, if I remember right, like 335 cloves in here. This was planted on November 2nd, so it's not even been 2 weeks yet, because this is a Friday and that was a Sunday, and they're already starting to come up. And then over here is our Creole garlic, and I thought I saw 1 or 2 in here, but these were also planted the same day. Oh yeah, there's one of them right there. So it's been less than 2 weeks and these have been coming up. And then on my way back to the back, this is Andrea's carrot and her beets area. So I think the front area here is the carrots. I don't know if they started coming up yet. Andrea had boxes over these to help simulate darkness so they might sprout faster. And that was great until we got like 25-mile-an-hour winds, and then the boxes blew off and we're all over the place. As you can see, the hay did not budge at all. It didn't even move. Even the loose hay that's on the ground over there, we had like 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts and it still stayed on the ground. Then Andrea is going to put the boxes back, but as you can see there, hopefully, there's some of the beets coming up. So that's what all this stuff is. And so the theory is we're not going to put mulch on top of these. We're hoping that they're going to grow fast enough and then we won't need to mulch them. That's the theory, at least. So that is good. And then let me walk over here. And at the very end of these first 3 rows are our transplanted garlic. And these garlic were growing native over in our big brush pile over there. And so then these were garlic that were not harvested. And so I think there's like 55 of them or so. But we transplanted them, and so far they're actually doing pretty well, all things considering. It's not supposed to be raining anytime in the near future, so I might come out here and manually water these, at least these part, because, you know, they had roots on them, and just to make sure that they'll be okay. The regular garlic, I think, will be fine. And as you can tell right there, and there's one right there, and there's more of them that keep popping up over here. So this weekend, that was one of my jobs, is I was going to go into the mess in here and start grabbing garlic and moving it. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, and this will be, I'm going to do a separate video on this in its entirety. But these first 3 rows here, which looks like an unholy mess right now, we planted corms when we planted our garlic last year. And we planted like 11 to 1,200 of them. And I would say only about a dozen of them actually came up last year. And I was so upset, I just said, forget it, and just left them. And honestly, in 2 or 3 weeks, I was going to take the garden down, till everything under, and put alfalfa in here as like a cover crop. But then I started noticing that this was happening, and this, and this, and this. And so our corms are coming up from last year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to weed all of this and get it back to a point to where it can be manageable, and then we're going to put new mulch on top of it. Because I have a feeling that once we start going through all of this, there'll be a lot more of the corms that are going to be coming up. The good thing is that all this is dry right now, so right now it's kind of acting like sort of mulch. But I would rather have our hay mulch in there than I would let that. But just wanted to give a quick garlic update. And so, oh, there's some more garlic that's got to get transplanted. So we might end up with 100 or more garlic that are transplanted alone, not including all the corms. And so, you know, each of these garlic, depending on how big the bulbs are, you know, they could be worth $8 or more. So if we had 100 garlic that we didn't know we had, then, you know, that could be worth another several $100s in sales. Sherlock's really happy about that. And I finally almost got my gate protection done. These are part of hog panels, and I wanted to put those down because the chickens were able to limbo through, or we've had a small dog or two actually come through those bottom panels. And so I was tired of looking out the front yard when the sisters were out and find a chicken or two wandering around the front yard like they were not supposed to. So we got the hog panels. I cut them down, and then that part we actually used to cover the bottom two panels. And so you can see this one over here, and this one's been up for a while. Nobody has gotten out into the field, which is good. And so that's that. Now the other half of the panel we'll be using for our racks for curing the garlic. So let me walk over there real quick. Okay, here's our garlic curing area inside the greenhouse. The panels on the left here, those were our original panels, which were cattle panels that I cut in half. And then these on the right here were hog panels, which I cut down. And the reason why I wanted to use hog panels is so I could put the bottom of the gate on, because at the bottom of the hog panel it's only 2 inches between. And see, this is the last gate that I have to do. I've cut it, I just have to put it on. And so now we have 3 more hog panels, so we can have another rack like this, which is 16 feet long, in case we need it when we start curing. And if I keep finding garlic native out in the wilderness over there, then we might need it, because the actual garlic cloves that we planted, not including the corms and not including the ones that we've already moved, was less than 2,800. And between the corms and the transplants, you know, we might, depending on how many corms we have, we might have 35, maybe even 4,000 total, which I will have no problem with that, because that means that can be more that we can potentially sell for next year. And so, all right, I'm done yakking now. But like I said, I'm going to do a video on the little corm experiment and see how many corms we're going to have, because the drip tape is still down. The mulch, of what's left of the mulch, is over a year old. Now the only downside is there's 0 nitrogen in that dirt over there, but we have a ton of blood meal that we can actually use for nitrogen. So if I'm able to clean it up, and if there's enough corms that are sprouting in order to warrant it, then I can be able to, we can put a ton of blood meal down. So, oh, there's Roadrunner and Celine Dion right there. And so, the sisters have been going out around 4 o'clock today, so I think it's like 2:30 now. So they're like, ooh, can we go out earlier? And I'm like, no. Now, while I'm over here, we did move the small coop over to that side because we're hoping maybe with the overhang it might be able to be better protected. So as soon as we get our first big rain, then we'll figure that out. And that is our new and improved heated waterer for the winter time. So it only kicks on once the water temperature gets below 35 degrees. And if the water temperature is above 35 degrees, then it doesn't run. And so I don't necessarily trust that. So like it's 65, 70 degrees right now, so I don't have it plugged in. So I have it plugged into an extension cord, and then the extension cord wraps around, goes all the way over to where the sliding door is over there. And so there's that. So anyway, thinking about done rambling, I was just excited that our hardneck garlic, after less than 2 weeks, has sprouted, and virtually all the garlic has started sprouting now.